Introduction. The Architect's Oath. The Pact of Light and the Warning on the Ethical Use of Creative Power. You are about to cross a threshold from which there is no return. What you hold in your hands, or what you are listening to right now, is not a simple self-improvement manual. It is not a set of superficial techniques to earn a little more money at the end of the month, or to inflate your ego with temporary triumphs. What you are about to receive is the source code of reality. It is the intimate and sacred mechanics of creation. You are about to learn to pilot the most colossal, ancient, and unstoppable force that exists in the known universe, your subconscious mind. But before giving you the keys to this divine machinery, before teaching you to mold three-dimensional matter with the edge of your visualization, we must stop. We must establish an unbreakable rule that will forever separate the legitimate creator from the simple manipulator. Today, before taking one more step, you must take the Architect's Oath. You see, the universe is a matrix of neutral energy. The law of manifestation has no morality of its own. It functions with mathematical coldness. It is exactly like fire. Fire is an extraordinary tool for life. It can warm your family in the harshest winter, cook your food, and forge the steel that raises civilizations. But if you use that same fire with recklessness, with anger, or with a dark desire for domination, the fire will not judge you. It will simply burn your house to the ground with you inside. The mental power you are going to awaken throughout these chapters operates under this same physical law. If you attempt to use quantum visualization to dominate others, to override a person's free will, for revenge, or for a toxic greed that crushes your fellow man, I warn you right now, with absolute certainty, the universe will crush you. Quantum physics operates under a relentless law of balance. Any energy projected from destructive selfishness or malice creates an excess potential, a chaotic void, that life will fill with destruction. Cosmic karma is not a religious punishment. It is pure compensatory physics. The darkness you project for others becomes the house where you yourself will have to live. Therefore, this knowledge demands a radical level of spiritual maturity. It demands that you become a guardian. The pact of light that we seal today, at this very moment, is this. You will use this power to build, never to destroy. You will learn to manifest massive wealth, yes, but a wealth that blesses and expands those around you. You will learn to manifest unbreakable health, to have the vitality to uplift your tribe. You will learn to manifest the most resounding success, but only to become a giant lighthouse that illuminates the path of those still in the dark. If your heart harbors intentions to harm or enslave, I beg you to turn off this audio right now. This knowledge will burn your hands. But if you are willing to assume the enormous responsibility of your own greatness, if you are ready to be an instrument of light, beauty, and expansion, then welcome to your true lineage. The simple fact that you are here, breathing and listening to this, defies all mathematical logic. Your existence is an anomaly that terrifies statisticians. And in the first chapter, I am going to demonstrate to you scientifically why you are not an accident but the greatest miracle of the cosmos. Take a deep breath. Your oath is sealed. The work begins now. Chapter 1. The Impossible Equation. The near-zero mathematical probability of your existence and the biological miracle of birth. You wake up on a Tuesday morning. The sharp, irritating sound of the alarm breaks the silence. You open your eyes heavily, cursing under your breath because you have to go to work. You drag your feet to the bathroom, look in the mirror with a mix of boredom and self-criticism, and while brushing your teeth, your mind is already ruminating. You think about the bills you have to pay, the traffic you will face, and how unfair your life is. You get into your car, dive into the routine, and for the next 16 hours, you operate under a lethal subconscious premise. You take your life for granted. You live under the illusion that your presence on this planet is something ordinary. You believe you are just one more human among 8 billion, a social security number, an employee caught in the wheel of monotony. When things go wrong, you look at the sky and ask, why was I born? Why did I get this miserable life? I am just an accident in a cold universe. In this first chapter, we are going to destroy that lie. We are going to take your inferiority complex and your apathy and crush them under the weight of science and pure mathematics. Before you can learn to use your subconscious mind to mold matter, You have to understand who is operating that mind. You have to understand the scale of the miracle that is the fact that you are breathing right now. You are not an accident. You are not a system error. You are the result of the impossible equation. When you understand the math of your own existence, you will realize that living a mediocre life is not just sad. It is a direct insult to the cosmic forces that conspired for 14 billion years to bring you here. Either primordial soup and the cosmic lottery. To understand the magnitude of your existence, we cannot start on your birthday. We have to go back 13.8 billion years to the Big Bang. At that point of infinite density, the universe exploded into existence. From that first microsecond, physics had to adjust with a precision that defies all sanity. If gravity had been a fraction of a percentage stronger, the universe would have collapsed into a big crunch long before the first star formed. If gravity had been a fraction weaker, matter would have dispersed so fast that galaxies would never have condensed. But gravity was perfect. Billions of years later, our Milky Way formed. For you to exist, Earth had to be located exactly in the Goldilocks zone. If Earth were 5% closer to the Sun, oceans would boil. If it were 20% farther, they would freeze. We were anchored in the perfect orbit, with a 23.5-degree axial tilt, to have seasons and Jupiter as a gravitational shield. To the unbreakable lineage, the survival of the blood. Look at your hands. The blood flowing through them is the end of an unbroken chain of survival that borders on the absurd. Think of your family tree. For you to be here, you needed 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents. If you go back just 1,000 years, you needed millions of direct ancestors. Every one of those ancestors had to be born. They had to survive childhood in eras where infant mortality exceeded 50%. They had to survive the brutal winters of the Ice Age, the Black Death that wiped out a third of Europe, tribal wars, famines, and 2 world wars. But surviving was not enough. They had to meet. Imagine your great-grandparents in the middle of a war. If one male ancestor in the 12th century had turned left instead of right on a dirt road, he would never have met his wife. That chance encounter would not have happened. His son would not have been born. Your entire genetic line would have been extinguished in that instant. Every arrow fired in human history missed your ancestors long enough for them to reproduce. You are the product of the longest winning streak in the history of biology. If a single link in that million-year chain had broken, you would not exist. You are the king or queen atop a mountain of survivors. Third, the race of 200 million, the moment of conception. Let's take the math to a more microscopic level. The night you were conceived. For you to be exactly you, with your eye color and innate talents, the spark of life depended on a specific biological encounter. Your parents had to meet, which is already a statistical miracle. But once they did, the true suicide race began. In an average ejaculation, 200 to 300 million sperm are released. That is the population of a large country, all swimming in darkness, competing for a single prize, a solitary egg. Each of those 200 million sperm carried a different genetic combination. Some would have created a math genius, others an athlete or a person with blonde hair. You were only one of those 200 million runners. The journey through the reproductive tract is the biological equivalent of crossing a hostile galaxy full of acid and immune system traps. The vast majority die in minutes. Only a few thousand reach the fallopian tubes. And there was the egg. For you to be born, the exact sperm carrying half of your current code had to be the fastest and strongest. It had to arrive first and hit the membrane at the exact angle to penetrate before the wall closed. If your parents had conceived a second earlier or later, the fluid dynamics would have changed, and you would not exist. IV, the Benazir equation and the blind turtle. Dr. Ali Benazir, a Harvard researcher, decided to put concrete numbers on this journey. He calculated the probability that you, with your specific DNA, are alive today. He calculated the probability of a man and woman meeting, 1 in 20,000, talking, staying together, and the probability of the specific egg and sperm, 1 in 400 trillion. He then added the probability of all your ancestors surviving since the first single-celled organism. The result defies comprehension. The mathematical probability of you being born is 1 in $10. That is a 1 followed by 2,685,000 zeros. In statistical math, that number is rounded to absolute zero. Dr. Benazir used a brilliant analogy. Imagine the oceans of Earth are empty of life, except for one blind sea turtle. This turtle swims in the depths and surfaces for air once every 100 years. Now, imagine there is a single wooden life ring floating somewhere on the surface of all the global oceans. The probability of you being alive today is the same probability as that blind turtle sticking its head exactly through the center of that life ring on its first attempt. The end of the cosmic imposter syndrome. Stop reading for a moment. Breathe. Do you understand now why chance is the most insulting myth in human history? You didn't win the lottery. You won 1 billion lotteries in a row, across eons of time. And yet, you walk with your head down, doubting your abilities. You suffer from imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is toxic arrogance. It is doubting the Creator. If the universe orchestrated the movement of galaxies and the race of millions of cells just to assemble you in your mother's womb, do you really believe it did so for you to spend 80 years depressed, complaining about your weight and stuck in a job you hate? Did the cosmos move the stars to create a coward? Did infinity condense into your flesh to create someone who doubts themselves? The answer is a deafening no. When you internalize the impossible equation, victimhood dies. Your value is inherent and absolute, backed by the immensity of space-time. Feel the sacred mandate, why you cannot be mediocre. This revelation is not flattery. It is a massive transfer of responsibility. Knowing your existence is a miracle comes with a price. If you cross the fire of the multiverse to be here, it means you bring a purpose, a unique telos. Living in mediocrity is a betrayal of the millions of survivors who preceded you. Your ancestors did not die in the ice and war so that you would give up at the first obstacle of your business. If the universe made this colossal effort to create you, it would never have given you the desire for greatness without giving you the tools to achieve it. This is where the ethical core of this book begins. The creative power of the mind is the same power that sustains the stars. Many try to manifest money and success, but fail because they act from the greed of a frightened biological accident. But when you discover you are a miracle designed by cosmic intelligence, your intention changes. Abundance becomes your natural state. Chapter 2. The Myth of Coincidence. The End of Chance and the Encrypted Purpose Behind Your Arrival in this world. If you have truly assimilated the magnitude of the previous chapter, your rational mind must be experiencing a short circuit. We have demonstrated with the relentless coldness of mathematics that your birth defies any conceivable probability. You are the absolute winner of a cosmic tournament that lasted billions of years. Now I ask you to apply basic logic to this revelation. If the universe orchestrated an effort of epic proportions to assemble your DNA, does it make any logical sense to believe that once you were born, that same universe abandoned you to luck? Do you think you were designed with nanometric precision only to have your destiny decided by dice? The answer is a resounding and absolute no. If the starting point was not an accident, then the straight line of your life cannot be an accident either. In this chapter, we will destroy the religion of chance and the blind belief in luck. We will dismantle this myth so you can reclaim the throne of your existence. Die the religion of chance, the anesthetic of the masses. Why does human society love the idea of luck? Because coincidence is the perfect anesthetic for the pain of failure. Chance is the warmest cave where the ego can hide to avoid responsibility. When someone fails, they say, "I had bad luck with the economy." When they have toxic relationships, they say, "It's just a coincidence." Believing in luck is a cowardly defense mechanism. If you believe bad luck exists, you automatically absolve yourself of guilt. You tell yourself it's not your fault you're broke or alone because the world is chaotic. This gives you a sickly, temporary comfort, but the price you pay for that comfort is your absolute power. If you give the authorship of your failure to bad luck, you are handing your car keys to a ghost. You are declaring to the universe, "I am not in control." And the universe, as an obedient mirror, will grant you a chaotic life where you indeed have no control. To enter the big leagues of manifestation, you must resign from this religion. Engrave the first law of Hermeticism in your consciousness, the law of cause and effect. Nothing escapes the law. Coincidence is merely a name given to a law not recognized. Every visible effect in your 3D world has an invisible cause in your mental and vibratory world. There are no dice in the sky. There are only mirrors, the hidden tapestry, the physics of synchronicity. Imagine looking at the back of an immense hand-woven Persian tapestry. All you see is chaos, loose threads, ugly knots, and mixed-up colors. If you judge the work from the back, the limited human perspective, you will say it is a random mess. But if you turn it around, the chaos disappears. Every thread is exactly where it must be. Your life is that tapestry. Yesterday you lost a client or your heart was broken. From the back of the tapestry, it's an ugly knot. But the conscious creator knows it is a surgical movement of the universe. Quantum physics backs this. Entanglement shows that particles once joined continue to affect each other regardless of distance. The negative event you suffered is not isolated. It is a thread pulling another thread. You weren't fired due to bad luck, but because your frequency no longer resonated with that corporate slavery. The universe had to cut the thread to weave you into a new tapestry as a leader. Coincidence is for the blind. Synchronicity is for the awake. Thus, the masters of pain, your executioners, are actors. Here is a hard truth for the ego. Nothing is a coincidence, including the people who hurt you. Under the victim paradigm, they are villains who ruined your life. This narrative allows you to feel self-pity, a frequency so low it immediately collapses the wave function of poverty and disease. You must change your lens. In the theater of the multiverse, you designed your own evolution curriculum. To learn lessons like unconditional forgiveness or inner strength, you needed high-performance trainers. No one goes to the gym and gets mad at the weights for being heavy. The resistance of the iron is what makes the muscle grow. The partner who lied or the associate who stole other weights in your spiritual gym, they were magnetically attracted by your vibration to show you wounds you had not healed. If you were abandoned, it forced you to build your own sovereignty. If you were scammed, a severe master forced you to become fiscally responsible. If you see them as enemies, you poison yourself with resentment, which hijacks the bandwidth you should use for wealth. If you see them as masters of chaos, actors who accepted the role of villain to wake you up, resentment evaporates. Thank them in silence, take the gold from the lesson and move on. Suffering is a choice. Versa, the encrypted purpose, the telos of your soul. If every painful event follows a design, where are you headed? An acorn is tiny, but its DNA contains the majestic image of the 30-meter oak it will become. It doesn't struggle to invent an oak. The oak is already encrypted inside. Its only purpose, its telos, is to surrender to the earth and let that design unfold. You are a cosmic acorn. Your deepest desires are not random whims of your ego. They are memories of your destiny. Infinite intelligence does not play dice. If the Creator put a burning longing in your heart, it is because the universe has already created that reality in the space of variations and needs you to download it. Desire is the divine saying, I have put the reward at the top of the mountain. Your job is to climb because in the process you will become the king you were destined to be. You cannot truly desire what does not belong to you by cosmic right. A penguin doesn't desire to fly. It desires to swim fast because its biology matches its desire. The myth of coincidence tells you to be realistic and ignore your dreams. Quantum truth tells you your dreams are prophecies waiting for your permission to collapse into matter. You will never have the pure, obsessive longing to be a concert pianist if you do not have the potential capacity encrypted within you, via the architecture of purged desire filtering the ego. You must learn to separate the soul's desire, the genuine telos, from the wounded ego's whim. The matrix implants false desires that are vibratory parasites. An ego whim seeks a luxury car because you were bullied for being poor. Its fuel is vengeance and lack. If you manifest this, it will bring no peace, only a fear of loss. The soul's desire seeks to build an international company because you have a passion for business structure and want to use that abundance to found schools. Its fuel is expansion and service. This desire has a cosmic hurricane in its favor. When you visualize this, the doors of space-time open wide. Coincidence does not exist in your longings. What hurts you and what you love are precision compasses. Your task today is to sit in silence and purge the vanity from your goals. Extract the diamond of purpose and throw away the dross of external validation. Fioske, the principle of rooting, you are the initial cause. To kill coincidence, you must apply radical responsibility, the principle of first cause. 99% of humanity lives in the effect, reacting to bills and the government. They are billiard balls being knocked around the table. The conscious creator is the player holding the cue. They are the mind that decided to play the game. Stand before the mirror and say with absolute authority, I and only I have manifested this. Everything beautiful, chaotic or scarce, I have attracted or allowed through my ignorance or subconscious fears. Coincidence does not exist. I am the unique cause of my experience. This declaration terrifies the ego. Admitting you caused your own ruin is like swallowing broken glass. But the moment it goes down, a wild freedom explodes in your chest. If you admit the economy ruined your life, you admit you have no power to fix it. But if you admit you created the disaster, then you have the power to create a paradise. Therefore, the breadcrumbs, how to read your environment. From this moment on, never say what a coincidence. Replace it with what precision. Your life will become a real-time conversation with the quantum field. Since coincidence is dead, you will read your environment as a millimetric feedback board. You will recognize synchronicities as responses to your vibratory ping. If you are forcing a relationship, and every time you meet the car breaks down or someone gets sick, stop. Understand that the quantum field is blocking you as a security system because that person's frequency would destroy your peace. Obey the divine blockage with gratitude. If you see a repetitive pattern, fix the root belief. Chapter 3. The Law of Balance, the Physics of Cosmic Karma, Why the Universe Punishes Selfish Manipulation and Rewards Harmony. Imagine you have just been appointed director of a state-of-the-art nuclear power plant. You are handed the keys to the control room and sit before the immense panel of buttons. Behind the thick containment walls, the reactor core houses a terrifying power. Uranium rods reacting, generating heat capable of lighting entire cities. But if control is lost, that same heat is capable of melting steel, poisoning the earth for thousands of years, and unleashing an apocalypse. What keeps that nuclear monster under control, allowing its power to be useful instead of destructive? The graphite rods, the cooling system, the mechanisms of balance, the creative power of the human mind, which you are about to learn to handle in the coming chapters, is exactly like the core of a nuclear reactor. You have discovered that you are a mathematical miracle and have assumed radical responsibility for your own life, killing the myth of chance. You have entered the control room of the Matrix. But before you press a single button on the panel of your subconscious mind, before you start visualizing millions of dollars or ideal partners, we have to install the cooling rods. We have to talk about the most implacable, cold, and mathematically perfect law of the multiverse, the law of balance. The New Age and false self-improvement gurus have sold you a very sweet and dangerous lie. They have told you, you can have whatever you want, whenever you want, regardless of the cost, because the universe is your personal shopping catalogue. That is the mentality of a child playing with fragmentation grenades. The universe is not your slave. The universe is a living, gigantic, and conscious organism whose supreme objective is to maintain cosmic homeostasis, the perfect balance of energy. If you use quantum manifestation techniques to break that balance out of greed or manipulation, you will face a force of nature designed to crush you. To the physics of excess potentials, the cosmic wind. To understand how cosmic punishment works, we do not need to resort to vengeful deities. We only need to observe basic meteorology and pressure physics. Why do hurricanes form on Earth? When atmospheric pressure in one area of the ocean is drastically different from an adjacent area, a vacuum, an energetic anomaly, is created. Nature abhors a vacuum. It abhors imbalance. So nature immediately generates violent wind currents to mix the air, equalize pressures, and restore calm. The hurricane is not a bad monster. It is simply the mechanism of the planet trying to return to the 0 point. In the invisible fabric of quantum reality, energy works the same. Pure energy flows freely in a state of zero friction. But when a conscious human, emits an extreme toxic emotion, a desire born of pure selfishness, or an intention to destroy another, they create what in metaphysics is called an excess potential. You are disturbing the calm surface of the cosmic lake with a heavy stone of negativity. What does the block universe do upon detecting this anomaly? It awakens the balancing forces. These forces have no morals. They don't care if you are a good or bad person. They only see an excess of energy that threatens the balance of the whole. Their job is to eliminate that excess in the fastest and most brutal way possible. The fastest way to eliminate the energetic pressure you have created is to eliminate you from the stage, or to violently snatch away that which you are trying to retain or steal. Tos, free will, the red line of the multiverse. Here lies the most common trap, the rookie mistake that destroys the lives of millions of aspiring conscious creators, the attempt to manipulate the free will of others. Daily, people discover the law of assumption and immediately try to use this power for domination. They try to visualize an ex-partner returning against their will. When you do this, you have crossed the red line of the multiverse. You have activated the nuclear siren of the control room. Every human being is a fractal spark of the creative source. They possess the sovereign, inalienable, and inviolable right to choose their own experience. Free will is the supreme law of the original design. If you use your mental concentration to launch a psychic attack disguised as positive visualization, to force another soul to act against their will, you are committing an act of vibratory tyranny. Modern black magic. What is the physical result? You create an excess potential of colossal dimensions. The balancing forces detect this attack. Because the universe protects sovereign balance, the force of your manipulation acts like a boomerang hitting a titanium wall. The energy of subjugation you projected returns to you multiplied by the speed of impact. The life of the aggressor often crumbles into deep depression or misery. The victim of the attack perceives the invasive energy at a subconscious level and flees faster. The aggressor ends up enslaved by their own need. Golden rule: you can manifest a perfect partner or a movie-like love, but you must manifest the state of love, not a specific person with a first and last name who has walked away. You tell the universe, I visualize a relationship of absolute loyalty and passion, and you let the universe, in its infinite wisdom, move the pieces without violating anyone's free will, bringing you the exact person, new or past, who freely resonates with that frequency. Third, karma demystified, Newton's third law at the quantum level. Karma is not a system of punishment and reward operated by celestial judges. Forget that childish dogma. Karma does not judge you. It is simply the spiritual manifestation of Newton's third law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. In metaphysics, this law expands in a terrifying way. For every vibratory frequency projected toward the field, there is an equal and resonant physical materialization returned toward the emitter. Imagine the quantum field as an immense cosmic ravine. Whatever you shout toward the bottom, the echo will return to you with your own voice resonating through your reality. If you wish financial ruin upon a competitor because of envy, you are shouting ruin toward the ravine. The universe does not distinguish if you wanted that ruin for him or for yourself. It only registers that you have chosen the frequency of ruin. By law of resonance, the echo returns and solidifies ruin in your bank accounts. If you act from meanness, cheating customers to earn a few more cents dishonestly, you are shouting scarcity and deception. The echo returns as unexpected fines or illnesses that consume your savings. The pain experienced by manipulative people is not God's punishment. It is a quantum suicide. They are ingesting the poison they intended to pour into their neighbor's cup. The law of balance guarantees that the harm you intend to cause alters your own electromagnetic signature, rotting your foundations from within. Doing evil is not just an ethical failure. It is an immense mathematical stupidity. Phi, the Dead Sea metaphor, the paradox of accumulation. There is a more subtle way people break the law of balance, the scared accumulator complex. Many learn to manifest money, and suddenly the ego takes the wheel. Fear of losing what they've gained seeps in. They become stingy. They build walls around their castle. They want to receive everything but refuse to release a cent. They have just broken the flow of life. To understand their fate, look at the Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea. Both are fed by the same Jordan River. The Sea of Galilee receives fresh water, but lets it out to irrigate the valley. It receives and gives, maintaining the perfect balance of cosmic circulation. It is full of life. The Dead Sea, however, is at the lowest point on Earth. It receives the Jordan's water but has no outlet. It keeps everything for itself. Because it selfishly retains all the water, the desert sun evaporates it, leaving behind a lethal accumulation of toxic salts. It accumulated so much that it killed itself. When you use your mind to attract success, you become the Jordan River of your own life. If you behave like the Dead Sea, accumulating out of fear, without sharing or elevating others, your energy stagnates. You become toxic. The balancing forces will send a crisis to evaporate that wealth and force the energy to circulate. To maintain the wealth you manifest, you must become the Sea of Galilee. You must be a channel, not a dam. When the universe knows that if it hands you $1 million, you will let part of it flow to create business, give employment and bless others, the universe will open the floodgates of heaven for you. Ecological manifestation, creating in zero friction. How do we manifest greatness safely? Through ecological manifestation. In biology, a perfect ecological system is one where a species' growth does not destroy the habitat, but adds balance. Your desire must be ecological. You can desire the maximum opulence, but the origin of that desire must be clean. Subject your goal to the test of sacred fire. Does this desire override or harm the free will of any human being? Is the fuel behind this desire fear, envy, or vengeance? When this desire materializes, will the shockwave of my success bring benefit, inspiration, or joy to others besides myself? When you pass this test, you enter zero friction with the universe. You're no longer fighting the balancing forces. They become your personal army. If the universe understands that your personal success results in raising the planet's frequency, it will literally move obstacles out of your way. This, the shield of gratitude, karmic immunity. How do you protect yourself from generating excess potentials throughout the day? How do you prevent pride from poisoning you when success arrives? The answer is true gratitude. This is not the ego's pride, but deep reverence before the miracle of existence. Gratitude dissolves high-pressure excess potentials. Vain pride inflates a balloon of cosmic pressure. Eventually, the needle of the universe will pop it. But when you achieve a massive milestone and say, I operated the mind, but I recognize the force that assembled the galaxies made this possible, thank you, the pressure vanishes. You empty yourself of vanity. By emptying yourself, you become a perfect vessel to receive even more abundance in the next cycle. Gratitude grants you karmic immunity. It keeps you light, agile, and undetectable to the radars of cosmic correction. Chapter 4. The Subconscious Leviathan. Anatomy of your hidden mind, a powerful, blind, and absolutely obedient giant. Imagine a man standing on the deck of a small wooden boat, sailing in the middle of the open ocean. The man holds the helm firmly. He looks at the stars, consults his compass, and turns the wheel toward the north. He feels the wind on his face and says to himself with pride, I am the captain of this ship. I decide my fate. I control my journey. But what this captain ignores, because his eyes can only see the surface of the water, is that his small boat is not moved by the force of the wind or the turn of his helm. Just below the keel, submerged in the dark and unfathomable depths of the ocean, there is a sea monster of titanic proportions, a leviathan. This gigantic creature carries the small boat on its back. If the captain turns the helm north, but the leviathan decides to swim south, the boat will go south, dragged by a force millions of times superior to wood and sails. The captain may scream, sweat, and force the helm until it breaks, but it will be useless. This metaphor is not a fairy tale. It is the exact anatomical, clinical, and terrifying description of your own human psyche. You wake up every morning and believe you have control over your life. That voice that speaks, that analytical mind that plans and makes rational decisions, is the captain. It is your conscious mind. But beneath that thin layer of rationality Inhabiting the depths of your nervous system and your biofield lies your subconscious mind, your own Leviathan. In this chapter, we are going to dive into the dark ocean to look the beast in the eye. You are going to learn the unshakable rules that govern this giant. The Leviathan is not your enemy. It is the most perfect quantum engine that exists in the universe. If you learn to tame it, if you manage to make the captain and the beast agree on the direction, there will be no wall in this world, nor any law of material physics that can stand between you and your destiny. The anatomy of the iceberg, the law of 5% against 95%. To stop fighting against yourself, you must first understand the disproportion of forces within your skull. Cognitive neuroscience has repeatedly shown that the conscious mind, the part of you that reasons, judges, and is reading these words, is barely the visible tip of the iceberg. It represents at most 5% of your daily cognitive activity. It is estimated that the conscious mind processes information at a speed of approximately 40 bits per second. It is sequential, slow, and fatigues quickly. But submerged beneath the waterline of your awareness lies the colossal mass of the subconscious mind. It processes information at the mind-blowing speed of 40 million bits per second. While you read this line with your conscious 5%, your subconscious Leviathan is simultaneously regulating your heart rate, adjusting your body temperature, digesting your last meal, renewing your cells, and most importantly, emitting your electromagnetic frequency toward the quantum field. All of this is done without you having to think about it. Now apply logic. If your conscious mind decides it wants to be a millionaire, but your subconscious mind harbors the deep-seated belief that money is the root of all evil, who do you think is going to win the battle? It is a mathematical massacre. The 95% will crush the 5% every single time without exception. That is the anatomy of self-sabotage. Your conscious mind, the captain, wanted to turn toward health, but your subconscious, the Leviathan, associated the cake with love and security felt in childhood. The beast swam toward the cake, dragging the entire boat with it. To the blind giant, the absence of logic and judgment. To master the Leviathan, you must study its behavior. And the first rule is the most dangerous of all. The subconscious is absolutely blind to objective truth. Your conscious mind is logical. It can look at a Monopoly bill and say, "This is fake paper." But your subconscious mind does not have an analytical filter. It does not reason. It does not have a sense of humor. It does not know how to distinguish between a lie, a joke, a memory of the past, a fear of the future, or a real fact occurring before your eyes. The subconscious takes every thought, every image, and every deep emotion you give it as a literal and absolute truth. This blindness is its greatest weakness, and at the same time it is the gateway for your divine power. If you stand before the mirror, look at your empty bank account and say out loud, "I'm an idiot, I'll never get out of poverty," your conscious mind knows you're exaggerating, but the Leviathan in the depths hears the command literally. Immediately, the blind giant goes to work. It modifies your brain chemistry, lowering your serotonin levels so you feel depressed. It shuts down creative centers in your prefrontal cortex so you cannot see business opportunities. The Leviathan fulfilled your order to perfection. Carl Jung summarized this. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The third, absolute obedience, the soil of cultivation. Eastern mystics used another brilliant metaphor for the subconscious. A field of infinite fertile soil. Soil has no morality. It does not judge the seed you plant in it. It is absolutely indifferent. Its only nature is to grow exponentially any seed that penetrates its surface, whether it be poison or food. Your conscious mind is the farmer. Your thoughts are the seeds. If you sow seeds of constant worry about a possible illness, the Leviathan takes them, nourishes them with the blood of your emotions, and eventually materializes the physical disease. The subconscious does not want to kill you. It is simply cultivating the harvest you ordered. But here is the glory of absolute obedience. If you manage to bypass your rational mind and plant the irrefutable seed that you are already successful, the Leviathan will not stop to argue with you. It will not say, "But look at your bank account." The subconscious will simply say, Understood, the captain says we are millionaires. Let's align reality. When the subconscious accepts the order of wealth as an implanted truth, it begins to direct your body on autopilot. Suddenly, you wake up full of energy. Your posture changes. You walk like a king. Personal magnetism skyrockets. Brilliant ideas begin to sprout. You are the original cause operating through the most powerful servant in the cosmos. The futility of conscious willpower. The self-help industry tells you that if you don't achieve your goals, it's because you are lazy or lack discipline. This is psychological torture. Willpower is a function of the conscious mind, the 5%. And like all conscious functions, it operates like a mobile phone battery. It runs out. You can use willpower to not eat that piece of cake in the morning. But at 8 p.m. when you arrive home exhausted, your conscious battery is at 0%. Your will is broken. What happens when the captain falls asleep from exhaustion? The Leviathan, which never tires, takes back the helm and returns to old habits of self-destruction. Fighting your own subconscious using willpower is like trying to stop a freight train with your bare hands. The quantum traveler does not use willpower. They use strategic reprogramming. You go down to the engine room, whisper in the Leviathan's ear, change the navigation code, and then you relax while the giant does the heavy lifting. When your subconscious is programmed for wealth, generating money does not require willpower. It is automatic. It is instinctive. It is your state of zero friction. The incorruptible archive. It is always recording. You must understand that this primal beast never sleeps. From the moment you were conceived, your subconscious was already on. It is a recorder that stays on 24 hours a day, registering every sound, every trauma, every joy, and every repetitive pattern in your environment. The Leviathan's archive is infinite. It houses the memory of every experience. Neurologists have proven that from birth until about age 7, your brain barely produces beta waves, conscious analytical thought. During those first 7 years, you live predominantly in theta and alpha frequencies. Theta is the state of pure hypnosis. This means that until age 7, you had no developed conscious mind. You were an open book. Your Leviathan was directly exposed to the world without any barrier of protection. If during those years you heard your parents say, "Money doesn't grow on trees," your subconscious recorded those as absolute laws of survival. Fast forward 30 years. Your conscious mind says, "I want to be financially free." But in the depths of the ocean, the Leviathan's archive triggers an alarm. Danger! The captain wants money, but our master file says money destroys families and causes crying. I must protect the captain by sabotaging this business immediately. It was not bad luck. It was the Leviathan protecting you from what it falsely believed was a threat, based on the script others wrote for you when you were a hypnotized child. Thus, the guardian at the gate, the critical factor. Why don't you change automatically when you read an inspiring book? Because after age 7, the brain develops a defense structure, the critical factor. Imagine a medieval castle, your subconscious, where reality commands are kept. At the gate is a guard armed to the teeth, the critical factor. The guard's job is to maintain consistency. His mission is to not let in any new belief that contradicts the old beliefs already inside. If the castle file says, "I am poor," and your conscious mind says, "I am a multimillionaire," the guard laughs and says, "Lie, command rejected." The affirmation bounces off and never touches the fertile soil. To tame the Leviathan, you have to bypass the guard. You have to learn to put the guard to sleep temporarily. There are 2 main ways to talk directly with the giant. The Trojan horse, constant repetition. If you hit the door 1,000 times a day, eventually the subconscious starts to accept the signal. This is the slow way. The back doors, altered states and emotion. The conscious creator utilizes the quantum mechanics of biology. When does the guard sleep? When your brain waves drop to alpha or theta. This is why the minutes before falling asleep and upon waking are the most sacred. In those thresholds, the guard is sedated. The gate is wide open. Whatever you feel, assume, and visualize in those precise minutes will enter without resistance and become a direct order for the giant. But there is another master key: high emotional impact. The rational guard is powerless against a tidal wave of pure emotion. An instant of quantum emotion is worth 10 years of mechanical repetition. 7. The awakening of the rider, the union of the two minds. Many people, upon learning about the subconscious, fear it. They feel they are sharing their body with a hostile stranger. That is a perspective of separation. The Leviathan is not your enemy. It is your quantum body. It has been trying to protect you all your life. Its intention was always loyal. It simply had the wrong software. Your mission is not to declare war on your subconscious, but to declare absolute reconciliation. You will assume your role as sovereign captain. You will go down to the engine room, look the giant in the eye and say, "Thank you for keeping me alive. But the old maps were false. Here are the new coordinates. We are one." When the conscious mind, desire, and the subconscious mind, belief, align, a zero-friction explosion occurs. The ship and the Leviathan merge. The struggle evaporates. The physical universe, which is the mirror of this unified mind, has no choice but to dramatically reorganize to reflect this new invincible alliance. First chapter. Conclusion: preparing the tools. Now that you know the subconscious processes reality without rational logic, you must understand a crucial limitation. The Leviathan is ancient and primitive. It does not speak your language. It does not understand logical dissertations or mathematical calculations. If you use verbal logic, the giant only hears static. If you want to become the architect of your reality, you have to learn to speak its native language. A language used millennia before words were invented, the language of the gods. In the next chapter, I will give you the Quantum Translation Dictionary. Get ready to learn the secret language that governs matter. Chapter 5. The Language of the Depths. How to communicate with your deep mind, which does not understand words but symbols and emotions. Imagine you travel to a remote, isolated country. You arrive at an immense palace where an emperor resides who has the absolute power to grant any wish. You are admitted into his throne room. Desperate to seize the opportunity, you begin to shout your desires in your native language. You argue with logic and present a detailed business plan. The emperor watches you with a blank face. He doesn't move a muscle. Why? Because the emperor does not speak your language. For him, your structured words and impeccable logic sound exactly like the noise of the wind hitting the window. A noise without meaning. You leave frustrated, but the reality is that you committed an act of supreme arrogance. You refuse to learn his mother tongue. That emperor deaf to your words is your subconscious mind, the Leviathan. And you are the frustrated tourist every time you stand in front of the mirror repeating mechanical phrases like, "I want to be rich." In this chapter, we are going to destroy one of the greatest deceptions, empty verbal affirmations. You will discover why writing your goals 100 times a day doesn't work if you don't apply the correct translation code. We are going to descend into the acoustic and visual archives of the human mind so that you learn, once and for all, the language of the depths. A language that does not require vocal cords but has the power to move mountains. The fallacy of the word, the language of the 5%. To understand why your subconscious ignores your words, we must look at the evolution of the brain. Articulated language is an extremely recent biological invention. It resides in the neocortex, the outermost and newest layer. It is the seat of your rational intellect, that 5% of which we spoke. But the Leviathan operates from much older structures, the limbic system, emotional brain, and the reptilian brain, survival and instinct. These structures have been operating for millions of years. For the limbic system, the word money means absolutely nothing. It is an abstract sound. The word health is an empty acoustic vibration. When you say, "I am a magnet for money," you are using the newest software to give an order to the oldest hardware. It is like trying to program a quantum supercomputer using a 19th century typewriter. Format incompatibility is absolute. The Leviathan hears you and says, "The captain is making strange noises again. I don't understand the command." Words only have creative power when they act as vehicles to transport something deeper. If the word is not charged with the native vocabulary of the subconscious, it is an empty shell. The language of the depths consists of 3 fundamental pillars: the image, the noun, the emotion, the verb, and the now, the verb tense. 2. The noun, the language of image and symbol. The first pillar is visual. The subconscious thinks exclusively in images and symbols. For proof, observe what happens when you sleep. When the neocortex turns off and the Leviathan takes control, you enter the world of dreams. Are your dreams pages of black and white text? No. Your subconscious plunges you into a 3D visual hallucination. Dreams are the clinical demonstration that the beast communicates by projecting movies, not writing essays. Ancient civilizations understood this perfectly. Egyptians did not write with alphabetic letters. They used hieroglyphs, visual symbols. They knew a symbol bypasses the logical mind and hits the chords of the collective subconscious directly. If you want to give an order to your internal giant, you have to stop talking to it and start showing it mental photographs. Do not say, "I want a successful business." You have to project the specific image of your hand signing $1 million contract, or your mother crying with joy as you hand her the keys to the house you just bought her. The image is the noun of the quantum language. It gives infinite intelligence the exact clay mold to fill with 3D matter. However, an image alone is like a luxury car without an engine. It is beautiful, but it will take you nowhere. The image is the mold, but it needs a cosmic hammer to be forged. That hammer is the second pillar. The third is the verb, emotion as pure magnetism. Here lies the secret that separates conscious creators from dreamers. The dreamer lies in bed, imagines a sports car and says, "How beautiful it is." He has projected an image, but it is sterile and dead. The second pillar is emotion. In the physics of manifestation, emotion is the verb. It is the action. It is the fire of alchemy. The word emotion comes from the Latin emovere, meaning energy in motion. While the brain produces the electrical field, image, the heart produces the magnetic field, emotion. If the image is the IP address of your cosmic destination, emotion is the power of the Wi-Fi signal that sends that address toward the block universe. If you visualize wealth but feel anxiety, the subconscious is confused by the contradictory command. As the Leviathan is an instinctive animal, it will always prioritize the survival instinct. It will prioritize emotion, and it will collapse the wave function of what you are terrified of. Neville Goddard said, "Feeling is the secret." It's not about forcing a fake emotion. It's about invoking the chemical signature of your fulfilled desire. If you get scared watching a horror movie, the subconscious doesn't know the screen is plasma. It injects adrenaline immediately. The conscious creator uses this mechanism in reverse as a weapon of massive materialization. Close your eyes, project the image of your victory, and then demand that your biology produce the hormone corresponding to that victory. Invoke relief, invoke extreme gratitude. You must trick your glands into crying with happiness for something biological eyes cannot yet see. The command has been validated. Manifestation is now inevitable. IV, the syntax, the deadly trap of future tense. We have the noun image and the verb emotion. Now we need the grammar. In what verb tense does your subconscious live? The rational mind jumps between past and future, but the Leviathan, like wild animals and infinite intelligence, only exists in the absolute present. For the subconscious, tomorrow is a literary fiction. This is why the vast majority of religious prayers and New Age decrees are pure poison. When you say, "I am going to be successful," or "I wish to heal soon," you are using the future tense. You are telling the quantum field, "Today, in the present, I do not have this." The universe obeys. Agreed. The captain says we don't have money now. You become the donkey chasing the carrot. The language of the depths demands an implacable syntax. The assumption of the wish fulfilled. Every command must be felt from the perspective that the event has already concluded. Eliminate verbs of desire, want, hope. Replace them with possession and identity, I am and I have. V metaphor and archetypal symbol, the secret shortcut. Sometimes the analytical mind is so wounded by past failures that if you try to visualize a full bank account, the intellect screams, "It's a lie." When the frontal impact fails, the conscious creator uses a secret shortcut, archetypal language and metaphor. The human subconscious is connected to a collective unconscious. The subconscious responds to primordial symbols with amazing docility. because they do not activate the logical defenses of the intellect. Your intellect isn't threatened by a story. Instead of fighting with images of banknotes, visualize a symbol of natural abundance. Imagine yourself as an immense oak tree with deep roots. Your rational mind didn't block the image. It thought, "Oh, we are imagining a tree, how relaxing." But your Leviathan translated the symbol instantly. It knows the giant tree means, "I am prosperous. My resources are inexhaustible. Life flows toward me." The order for massive abundance has been received through a metaphorical Trojan horse. This is exactly why great spiritual masters taught through parables. Stories of mustard seeds and lotus flowers. They knew the conscious mind would argue with philosophy, but the symbol of the story would penetrate directly into the Leviathan and germinate from within. You can create your own internal parables. Versi, the format of the perfect quantum command. Let's summarize the language of the depths into an unshakable formula. To program your reality, the message must meet these 4 rules of divine syntax. We call this the quantum command. Sensory visual impression, the mold. The image must be specific. See your hand feeling the leather upholstery of your new car. Emotional flood, the magnetism. Soak that image with relief and gratitude. First-person perspective, the possession. Never see yourself from the outside like a movie screen. You have to see the world through your own eyes. Present tense certainty, the seed drop. Seal the experience feeling. This is a memory of something I own. Seventh, the diet of eye and ear protecting the sanctuary. Knowing your subconscious absorbs symbols and emotions as absolute truths carries a tremendous responsibility. You cannot be negligent with the information you let into your fortress. Many practice quantum commands for 10 minutes at night, but spend the other 16 hours listening to news of tragedy and economic crisis. The giant doesn't know the horror movie, or the dramatic song is just entertainment. It absorbs those images and assumes that is the reality the captain is choosing. You are canceling your own manifestation. For every minute of positive visualization, you cancel it with 100 minutes of toxic programming. The conscious creator is an implacable dictator with their own senses. Apply a strict sensory diet. If a conversation or movie generates fear or helplessness, turn it off immediately. Your vibratory field is worth more than being informed about 3D chaos. Feed the giant victory images today, and it will build that life for you tomorrow. Chapter 6. The Quantum Canvas, the exact mechanics of creative visualization to mold matter. Enter an art studio that has just opened. The smell of fresh paint floats in the air. In the exact center of the room, resting on an oak easel, there is an immense canvas, absolutely white and immaculate. Not a single line is drawn on it. Beside it, you have a palette with all the colors of the physical universe and a brush. That blank canvas is the quantum field. It is the space of infinite variance we spoke of in the first chapters. It is the raw material of the universe in a state of rest, waiting for an order. 99% of humanity enters this studio blindfolded. They grab the brush with trembling hands stained with fear, anxiety, and past traumas. They begin to throw paint at the canvas randomly. They splash chaotic colors, tear the fabric with their daily complaints, and at the end of their lives, they look at the disastrous painting and say, "What a hard life I had to live. What an ugly work destiny gave me." But you are no longer blindfolded. You have removed the bandage. You have understood the mathematics of your biological miracle, annihilated coincidence, and purified your intentions under the law of balance. You have the immense subconscious Leviathan tamed at your feet and have learned its native language of images and emotions. It is time to paint for real. In this chapter, we will take that brush with the firmness of a Renaissance master. We will learn the exact mechanics of creative visualization. I am not talking about daydreaming. Daydreaming is a passive hobby where your mind wanders to escape reality. Creative visualization is an act of architectural violence against time and space. It is the supreme act of authority by which you collapse the wave function of matter and force the atoms of the universe to assemble according to your conscious will. Prepare to enter the operating room. This is how reality is forged. By the dark room, the developing room. Before you can project a new reality toward the quantum field, you must physically disconnect from the old reality. Your external world, your room, your bank account, the noises from the street, is an extremely heavy data transmission. While your physical eyes are open, your brain processes that information in a beta state. To develop a photograph in the analog world, you need a darkroom. If you turn on the white light before its time, the photo is ruined. Your mind works exactly the same. To print a new image on the Leviathan, you have to isolate the photographic paper. You have to practice voluntary sensory deprivation. The ideal time for this is the state akin to sleep, SATS. Those magic minutes when you are in bed about to fall asleep, or just when you wake up, when your body is lethargic, but your consciousness still floats. Close your eyes. By closing your eyes, you eliminate 80% of the sensory information that bombards your brain. You are now in the infinite blackness of your own consciousness. Breathe deeply and slowly. By slowing your breathing, you send a signal of safety to your nervous system. Your brain waves descend gently toward the alpha state, and then toward the deep and receptive theta state. The canvas is ready to receive the paint. Tugs. The architecture of the scene, the law of the unequivocal end. The biggest technical error students of manifestation make is trying to visualize an entire 2-hour movie. They visualize meeting a client, negotiating, the rejection, and finally cashing the check. This is a vibratory disaster. By visualizing the process, you introduce the illusion of time and the friction of effort. The conscious creator never visualizes the how. The conscious creator visualizes exclusively the final result. You have to design an extremely short mental video clip, a scene that lasts between 5 and 10 seconds, no more. This scene must be an event that logically implies that your desire is already fulfilled. If you wish to heal, do not visualize the surgery or the pills. Visualize a 5-second scene where you are dining with a loved one weeks after receiving the final medical clearance. Your loved one raises a glass and says, "How wonderful to see you so healthy again." And you answer, "I've never felt so strong." If you wish to sell your company, visualize the exact moment you open your bank app and see the monstrous balance reflected on the screen. The scene must be an irrefutable confirmation. By compressing the desire into a 5-second clip that occurs after the event, you annihilate linear time. The war is already won. 30. Specific weight, sensory density. You have the short scene, but right now it is a translucent hologram. If you leave it that way, the subconscious will discard it as a simple fantasy. To make the image embed itself in the matrix of physical reality, you have to give it density. You have to give it specific weight by using virtual senses. Your brain is unable to distinguish between a real physical sensory experience and a vividly imagined one. You have to saturate your 5-second scene with tactile, auditory, and visual information. Return to the scene of the toast for your health. Do not see it as a flat cartoon. Involve your virtual biology. Touch. Feel in your imagination the coldness of the crystal glass in your hand. Feel the texture of the cloth napkin on your lap. Feel how the chair supports the weight of your healthy back. Hearing. Listen to the background noise of the restaurant. Listen to the exact clink of the glasses. Above all, hear the tone of the voice. Sight. Put saturated colors in the scene. Look at the reflection of light on the glass. Look at the facial expression of the other person. By forcing your mind to process textures, sounds, and colors in a scene that does not physically exist, you are creating a deep groove in the hard drive. You are giving the scene the tone of reality. Third, the carrier frequency, the breath of life. We have built a perfect clay mold, but it remains a lifeless block of clay. It has no magnetism. Here is where 90% of practitioners fail. They have the image, but their chest is empty or full of anxiety. For the mold to come to life, you have to breathe into it. You have to inject the carrier emotion. In metaphysics, emotion is the carrier wave of the image. While you repeat your small 5-second scene in your mind, you must physically generate, in the center of your chest, the exact emotion you would feel if that event had just occurred. Correct emotion is rarely manic euphoria. That hides an underlying fear. The true emotion of the conscious creator is a mixture of two frequencies: absolute relief and serene gratitude. Relief is that deep sigh you give when you drop a 100-kilo sack you've carried for years. It is the feeling of, finally, the struggle is over. It's done. I don't have to fight anymore. Serene gratitude is the heat that expands through the solar plexus. It is the peaceful sensation of natural possession. Like when you drink a glass of water, you are grateful, but you are not surprised there is water. Inject this into your scene. When you achieve this fusion, the image becomes an unbreakable electromagnetic signature. V, the chisel of repetition, the hypnotic loop. You have the 5-second scene. You have the sensorial density and the emotion of relief. Now you must become the relentless sculptor. The Leviathan needs consistency to accept the new program. While you are in bed, in that deep lethargy, you are going to play your 5-second clip. You reach the end, then rewind and start over. You are going to create a hypnotic loop. You will repeat this micro-movie 20, 30, or 50 times in the darkness of your mind. At first, it may feel forced. Your mind will wander, gently return to the start. By the 10th repetition, the scene will take on a life of its own. You will notice details you didn't consciously design. By the 20th repetition, your physical body will react. Your heart rate will match the scene. When you hold this loop long enough, something miraculous happens. The scene stops being something you are forcing and becomes an autonomous reality. You stop observing the scene and begin to inhabit it. The seed has entered the dark soil. Share the art of sleepy immersion, sleeping in victory. The final goal is to unite this with the biological process of sleep. Neville Goddard insisted that the most infallible way to manifest is to fall asleep while playing the scene in your mind. Your subconscious is the only one working through the night. The last order registered by the conscious mind is what it will execute. If you fall asleep watching news of war and crisis, your subconscious will spend 8 hours looking for how to align your life with that frequency. But if you fall asleep playing the hypnotic loop of your $1 million contract, bathing in relief, you are taking the golden seed to the very core of the universe. While you sleep, your deep mind travels the space of variance, localizes the coordinate where that scene is physical reality, and begins to weave the events that will drag you toward that destination upon waking. You fall asleep in a state of victory. You are a monarch resting in his castle after signing the royal decree. 7. Extraction and tactical blindness breaking contact. The next day you wake up. You return to the 3D world. You look around and, oh surprise, you are still in the same room. The $1 million is not there yet. This is where 99% of people abort their manifestation. They panic. The ego screams, "It was a sham. Last night I visualized and nothing has happened." Listen carefully. The 3D world is dense, it is slow, it has inertia. The 3D is the echo of the past. The room you wake up in is the materialization of thoughts you had months ago. They are a dead star whose light is just reaching you. You cannot demand dense matter to reconfigure in a millisecond. Render time requires a bridge. Upon waking, you must apply divine indifference toward your current reality. You go to work and pay your bills, but internally you refuse to grant the title of final reality to what your eyes see. You walk the streets with a state secret burning in your chest. You smile with the arrogance of one who knows the truth. Tell yourself, this poverty is just the old set being taken down. I know where I was last night. My true reality is the abundance I already assumed. Confide in the intelligence of the earth, the subconscious. Water the seed with your certainty, then turn your back, knowing that biology will make the oak sprout at its own perfect pace. Chapter 7. Holographic Projection. The difference between passive fantasy and the art of inhabiting the image from within. Imagine it is a cold winter night. It is pouring rain, and you are walking down the street without a coat, shivering. Suddenly, you pass by the huge glass window of a spectacular mansion. You stop to look through the glass. Inside, you see a burning fireplace. You see a table set with a steaming banquet. You see people laughing. You stay there in the freezing rain, pressing your nose against the cold glass, looking at that perfect scene. You say, "Oh, how wonderful it would be to be in there. How happy I would be if that were my life." But no matter how much you look at the fire through the glass, the fire does not warm you. You are still wet. You are still shivering. That glass window is the screen of your mind. The mansion is your fulfilled desire. And you, staying outside in the rain looking in, are the living embodiment of 99% of people who try to apply visualization but are actually only practicing passive fantasy. In this chapter, we are going to smash that glass window with a hammer. We will teach you the lethal difference between fantasizing about a better life, which destroys you vibrationally, and executing a holographic projection, which collapses the wave function. You are not here to be the spectator of your own success movie. You are here to be the lead actor and the projector itself. The sickness of fantasy, the escape from 3D. Passive fantasy is one of the most widespread psychological and vibratory diseases of modern society. Why do people fantasize? Because their 3D reality is painful or boring. So the ego, seeking a quick painkiller, resorts to daydreaming. You sit in your office and imagine winning the lottery. You feel slightly better for a moment, but analyze the vibratory physics of what you just did. While you were imagining the yacht, deep down you knew it was a lie. Your conscious and subconscious minds were in agreement. This is just a mental game to ease the pain, but our reality is that we are poor. What is the electromagnetic signature you send to the block universe? You are emitting the frequency of separation. You are telling the quantum field, I am here in lack, and my desire is there, on an unreachable screen. The universe, obedient to the law of resonance, takes that literally. It freezes your material reality exactly as it is, keeping an infinite distance between you and your desire. And the worst part of fantasy is the rebound effect. The instant you stop fantasizing and open your eyes to your office reality, you feel a brutal blow. A wave of depression crushes you. That pain is the definitive proof that you were not visualizing as a creator. You were daydreaming as a victim. You anchored yourself in the past. The physics of observation collapse from within. We know that the sustained gaze of consciousness collapses the wave function of subatomic particles. But there is a topological rule. Reality collapses in direct relation to the spatial position of the observer. Mathematically, if we consider the observer as the origin, 0.00, matter organizes itself around that center of gravity. If you observe the scene of your wealth from the outside, like watching a movie, your center of gravity remains in the cinema seat, your current poverty. You are collapsing the wave function of being a spectator looking at wealth from afar. To solidify wealth in your 3D experience, you must perform a transfer of coordinates. You must move your quantum center of gravity, your I am, out of the office chair and transfer it into the hologram of your desire. This is holographic projection. A hologram is a 3D projection of light that occupies space. You're not going to look at the house from the sidewalk. You are going to enter the living room and sit on the sofa. The rule of the first person, the eyes of the creator. Here lies the number one technical error. When closing their eyes to visualize, people make the mortal mistake of dissociating. They imagine winning a medal, but see their own face or their own back in the mental image. They see themselves as if a drone were filming them from above, or as if they were watching a music video. Listen carefully. If in your visualization you can see your own face or your own back, you are doing it wrong. In your daily life, do you see your own face? No. You see the world through your eyes. You see your hands at the end of your arms. That is the first-person perspective, association. If you see yourself from the outside, third person, you send a lethal message to the Leviathan. That person over there having success is someone else. I am the camera. The subconscious obeys. You will manifest the event, but for someone else. You will see a friend get the job you wanted. You will remain the spectator. The golden rule is total immersion in the first person. You have to get inside the avatar of your future self. If you visualize driving your new car, look through the windshield, see the hood in front of you, look down and see your own hands gripping the leather steering wheel. Turn your head and see the empty passenger seat. The moment you force your mind to adopt the first person, you short-circuit the ego's separation mechanism. Processing spatial information from the center of your virtual eyes makes the brain assume the event is happening to you, here and now. The wish-fulfilled signature detonates like a nuclear bomb in the quantum field. Via the holographic jump, transferring the center of gravity. Transferring your center requires fierce mental discipline. Neville Goddard called this making there here. The human mind tends to place desires in the there and then. Your architectural work is to take the there and then and collapse it into the here and now. First, you must forget the physical bed you are lying on. Withdraw your attention from the texture of your sheets. Become no one, nothing, nowhere. Then, in the darkness of your mind, build the space around you. If it's your new office, feel that to your left is a large glass window. Feel that in front of you is a mahogany desk. And here is the masterstroke. You must physically feel that you are sitting in that chair. If you opened your eyes, you wouldn't see your bedroom ceiling, you would see your office walls. This sensation of truly being there is the holographic jump. Your I am has moved its quantum zip code. You have hacked the matrix. V the tactile bridge, anchoring the hologram to biology. To stop the ego from pulling you back to your physical room, use the sense of touch as your main anchor. In your brain's map, the hands occupy a giant proportion due to the immense amount of nerve endings. Touch is the most primitive sense, the most rooted in 3D reality. You must touch the hologram with your virtual hands. In your 5-second scene, don't just see the check. Raise your virtual hand and feel the rough, crisp texture of the paper. Feel the sharp edges. Run your thumb over the printed ink. If you are manifesting a partner, don't just see their face. Caress their cheek. Feel the temperature of their skin and the softness of their hair. Focusing all mental attention on the imaginary texture of an object forces your biological brain to turn on tactile neural networks. When the brain experiences texture in the first person, the critical factor collapses. The brain says, if I am touching this and feeling its weight, then it has to be real. The tactile bridge turns a gaseous dream into a solid rock. It is the artificial gravity of your holographic projection. It forces the body to anchor itself in 4D, imagination, forcing 3D to collapse in the near future to match that anchor. Therefore, the zero friction test, how to know if you succeeded. The universe offers you an infallible binary test that occurs the exact millisecond you open your eyes. We call it the zero friction test. Scenario A, failure. You open your eyes and feel a violent clash with reality. You see your old apartment and feel sadness or urgency. You operated from the third person. You confirmed your lack. Scenario B, quantum success. You finish your loop and open your eyes slowly. What do you feel? Absolute peace, divine indifference. You look at your old walls, but they no longer offend you. You look at them like a dusty old set of a play that has been cancelled. You feel in your chest a pleasant heaviness and emotional saturation. You are so saturated by the holographic experience that your need to look for it in the physical world completely disappears. This is the cosmic Sabbath, the state of rest after creation. You no longer ask the universe, please give it to me. You say, thank you, I have already given it to myself. Do with matter what is necessary. When you walk through your 3D life of scarcity, feeling like a covert billionaire, without a gram of doubt, the collapse of the wave function is imminent. Physical materialization will not take years. It will rush upon you in weeks or hours. The pressure of the cosmic vacuum you have created is too immense not to be filled. Samus, mirror immunity. Walking between worlds. Quantum mastery is practiced with open eyes in the chaos of the ordinary world. You have to become a double agent. Physically, you are in timeline A, debt, sickness. Your body must follow the laws of this plane, but internally, your consciousness resides in timeline B, the hologram of success. The key is mirror immunity. Physical reality is a delayed mirror. It reflects what you thought months ago. If you see a spot on your face in a mirror, you don't try to clean the glass. You wash your own face. If you go to your mailbox and find an eviction notice, the 3D mirror is showing you a giant spot of poverty. If you panic, you have tried to clean the mirror by rubbing the glass. You believe the illusion of the delayed reflection. The quantum double agent acts differently. He sees the notice and feels the initial stress, but in half a second, he invokes mirror immunity. He steps back into the state of the silent witness. He says, "What an interesting dead hologram from the past. This paper is a dead star. I refuse to give it my creative fire." You handle the 3D issue with mechanical efficiency, but without involving a drop of emotion. As soon as you finish the task, You reconnect with the weight of virtual bills and return to your mahogany office. If you sustain this structural tension, walking through hell without your clothes burning, the physical hell around you will collapse. The molecular structures of your environment cannot support the dissonance between an external world of lack and an observer anchored in abundance. The mirror will break. A new reflection will appear. Chapter 8. The Emotional Fuel. Anticipated gratitude and elevated emotion as the gasoline for your visualization. Imagine you have invested your life's fortune in building the most perfect aerodynamic and technologically advanced sports car human engineering can conceive. The chassis is ultralight carbon fiber. The tires are designed to grip the asphalt like claws. The exterior design is a work of art that cuts through the wind without resistance. You sit in the driver's seat. You grab the leather-wrapped steering wheel. The interior is exactly as you dreamed. Everything is in its place. You turn the key in the ignition, expecting to hear the deafening roar of a 1,000-horsepower engine. But all you hear is a dull metallic click. Nothing turns on. The car does not move an inch. You check the manuals, verify the mechanics, and suddenly realize the most foolish and fatal mistake of all. The gas tank is completely empty. That carbon fiber sports car is your holographic projection. Chapter 7. You have learned to use the quantum canvas. You know how to build the exact image of your goal in the first person. You know how to feel the touch of the virtual steering wheel, isolate yourself from the 3D world, and give weight to the image. You have the perfect architectural structure in your mind. But if your chest is cold, if your heart is paralyzed by fear, boredom, or apathy, you have a perfect car without a single drop of fuel. A car without fuel is not a vehicle. It is a very expensive 2-ton ornament that will take you nowhere. In this chapter, we are going to light the alchemical furnace. We will teach you the forgotten science of human emotion. We will destroy the destructive myth of empty, positive thinking and give you the formula for emotional fuel. It is the high-octane gasoline that turns a static image in the brain into a massive electromagnet in the heart, capable of dragging the frames of the block universe toward your present reality at terrifying speeds. This fuel is not a temporary whim. It is a fundamental shift in your internal chemistry that redefines your existence. At the biomagnetic battery, the brain versus the heart. To stop seeing emotions as simple poetic reactions or sentimental weaknesses, we must observe them through the lens of electromagnetic physics. We have been taught to worship the intellectual brain and relegate the heart to the realm of romance. This scientific ignorance is why humanity is so disconnected from its creative power. The HeartMath Institute has proven in laboratories with precise measurements that the human heart is not just a muscular blood pump. It is a highly complex nervous system, a brain in its own right, with tens of thousands of neurons. Most importantly, it is the most powerful electromagnetic generator in the human body. Compared to the cranial brain, where you build your thoughts and visual images, the heart is an energy monster. The heart's electric field is about 60 times greater in amplitude than the brain's. Its magnetic field is more than 5,000 times more powerful than the brain's and can be detected several meters outside the physical body. In the physics of quantum manifestation, the division of labor is clear and non-negotiable. The brain creates the mold, the thought image. It works like the electrical signal drawing coordinates on the GPS. The heart creates gravity, the emotion, feeling. It works like the magnetic field pulling that event toward you through space-time. If you have a clear thought of wealth in your brain, but in your heart you feel terror, you are sending contradictory signals to the quantum field. You have an electrical field of 1 unit saying, "I am rich," and a magnetic field of 5,000 units screaming, "I am ruined." The magnetic field of 5,000 units always devours the weak thought. 2. The tyranny of empty positive thinking. Once you understand the magnetic supremacy of emotion, you realize the immense scam that has been the positive thinking culture. They have told you that to change your life, you only have to repeat pretty phrases and force a smile. Forcing your mind to think positive while your body is flooded with stress chemistry is quantum makeup. It is like trying to cover a crack in a building's foundation with a band-aid. The quantum field does not understand languages. It is deaf to grammar. The universe only reads Hertzian frequencies. It does not read what you say, it reads what you feel. If you say, "I am a magnet for money but feel panic," you emit a frequency of lack. The universe translates, "This person is emitting the frequency of extreme scarcity." Copied. I proceed to send more bills, so their external reality matches their internal chemistry. False positivity is resistance in disguise. It consumes your 5% battery and awakens the critical factor. We must descend directly to the boiler room. First, the God frequency, the space-time hack. If you want to collapse the wave function and force matter to materialize your desire at a dizzying speed, you cannot use the emotion of desire. The emotion of longing, "I hope I get it," is an emotion of separation. It implies you are here and the object is far away. It emits friction. The only emotion that bridges space-time is gratitude. Ordinary gratitude is felt after receiving the gift. The conscious creator uses this mechanism in reverse. It is the ultimate system hack. Instead of waiting for 3D matter to deliver the gift to feel grateful, you generate the emotion of massive gratitude before your biological eyes see the gift. We call this anticipated gratitude. When you project the hologram of your success and force your heart to feel a wave of deep thankfulness, you are breaking the timeline. Your rational brain is confused, but your subconscious Leviathan receives the chemical discharge of gratitude and says, "The body is thanking." Therefore, the event has already happened. In the instant you give thanks in advance, you have executed the supreme order. If the block universe already contains all your possible lives, thanking for your new life is the only logical act. Anticipated gratitude is not an act of hope, it is an act of divine arrogance. It is the certainty that your request has been delivered. Fare the alchemy of suffering, transmuting lead. You might be thinking, how can I generate extreme gratitude if they are going to foreclose on my house tomorrow? You are right. It is humanly impossible to force gratitude for $1 million when you feel the physical terror of hunger. When you are at the bottom of the 3D pit, you have to use emotional alchemy. Step 1. The emergency brake. Neutral acceptance. When fear attacks, do not try to be positive. Observe your fear like a scientist. Stop fighting it. Just by stopping the struggle, you reduce the pressure by 50%. You enter a state of bored neutrality, which is the necessary bridge to climb higher on the scale. Step 2. The focus pivot. Since you can't feel gratitude for ruins, look at anything else that generates a real spark of well-being. It could be your cat's purr, the taste of coffee, or the fact that your lungs breathe without a salary. Find that small ember of light. It is tiny, but it is real, not fake or forced. Step 3. The blowing frequency flood. Concentrate obsessively on that feeling of appreciation. Feel it warm up. By focusing your attention laser on something authentically good, your heart's chaotic waves of fear smooth out into heart coherence. You have transmuted the lead of fear into the silver of calm. Step 4. The holographic transplant. Now, when your chest is beating in a frequency of calm, open the darkroom door. Take that genuine gratitude and transfer it to your success visualization. Since the pump is primed, it is easier to expand that gratitude toward your future desire. You have used a tactical springboard. The addiction to stress hormones, withdrawal syndrome. There is a neurological reason why your mind always wants to go back to remembering your misfortunes. You are biologically addicted to your own suffering. When you live in chronic stress, your body gets used to a chemical soup of cortisol and adrenaline. Your cells develop receptors that crave these hormones like a drug. When you start applying the quantum canvas and generating peace, you cut the cortisol supply. Your body enters withdrawal syndrome. Your cells scream, "We haven't been angry in weeks. We need our dose of fear." Then, the body sends a signal to the brain to find a painful memory or invent a catastrophic future scenario. Suddenly, you remember a betrayal from years ago. You get angry. Your heart accelerates. Boom, mission accomplished. Your body just got its shot of cortisol. Recognizing this process is the greatest liberation. Next time doubt or anger assaults your mind, smile and say, "I see you, this is just my body's chemical withdrawal." By refusing to feed the addiction, you force the system to reset. You are detoxifying your biology at a cellular level. You are teaching your body to become addicted to the frequency of paradise. When your body craves peace in the same way it once craved drama, your physical manifestation will become absolutely unstoppable. Man or the Sabbath state, the relief of the finished work. In ancient scriptures, it is said the Creator rested on the seventh day, the Sabbath. Metaphysics reveals its true power. The Sabbath is the supreme emotional state of manifestation. It is the state of internal immobility that occurs when you are so sure the seed is planted that any further effort seems ridiculous. Imagine you bought a plane ticket for a vacation 3 months from now. You have the ticket. Do you wake up every morning crying and pleading for it to happen? No. It would be absurd. The event is a finished fact. Your only emotion is quiet joy. You live your life knowing the trip already belongs to you. That is the Sabbath. When you finish your visualization impregnated with anticipated gratitude, you must enter this state. You relax. You no longer try to manifest. You tell your ego, the contract has been signed in the 4th dimension. Now, I just sit and watch the 3D matter reorder itself. Peace is the signature of the true creator. This state of rest is where the actual rendering of reality happens. If you constantly dig up the seed to see if it's growing, you kill the plant. The Sabbath is the spiritual maturity to leave the seed alone. It is the profound knowing that the laws of the universe are now working on your behalf while you simply exist. Sabbath, expanding the emotional field. True emotional fuel is not just a spark, it is a sustained field of radiance. When you master the ignition ritual, you begin to notice that your presence alone begins to alter the environments you enter. This is because a coherent heart emits a field that reorganizes the local entropy of the space around you. Your manifestation speed is directly linked to the stability of this field. It is not about how intensely you feel for 5 minutes, but how much emotional sovereignty you maintain during the day. If the world can knock you out of your gratitude with a simple traffic jam, your fuel is leaking. You must seal the tank. Emotional sovereignty means that your internal state is the result of your own choice, not a reaction to external stimuli. When you achieve this, you become the primary cause. You are no longer the effect of your environment. You are the source of it. This is the highest octane fuel available in the human experience. The universe prioritizes the materialization of desires that are backed by a consistent, unshakable emotional signature. By maintaining your high frequency, regardless of the 3D mirage, you force the mirror of reality to adjust. You are the immovable object, and reality is the fluid that must flow around your intent. Fate, the ignition ritual, lighting the furnace. To condense this power into a repeatable technique, here is the ignition ritual. Isolation and mold. Close your eyes, drop to alpha to theta, and create the 5-second first-person clip. Physical bridge. Place your right palm over your heart and the left on top. This signals safety to the limbic system. Heart breathing. Imagine air entering and leaving directly through your physical heart. Inhale for 5, exhale for 5. This forces heart coherence in less than 60 seconds. Gratitude explosion. While breathing and looping the clip, demand your chest feel relief. Whisper, "It is done." Let the heat expand to your toes. Surrender. Give in to the sensation. Fall asleep wrapped in that electric blanket of victory. If you execute this ritual, your body becomes the most powerful transmission antenna in your city. You will be emitting a signature that forces timelines to collapse in your favor, sweeping away the resistance of the old world. Chapter 9, Cleaning the Lens. Detecting and uninstalling mental viruses that sabotage your progress. Imagine you are in the world's most advanced cinema. You hold the perfect film, a high-definition feature of your ideal life, overflowing with wealth, health, and true love. You have the projector turned on with a nuclear-powered bulb, radiating perfect light. You turn on the light and face the 3D reality screen to see your masterpiece. But when you look at the screen, you are horrified. The image is deformed. Colors are dark and gloomy. Wealth is stained by betrayal. Love is distorted by fear of abandonment. Health has shadows of relapses. You check the film. It is perfect. You check the bulb. It shines at maximum power. What is failing? What? You examine the thick glass lens. There you discover the disaster. The lens is covered in a thick layer of fossilized mud, dirty fingerprints, deep scratches, and black paint. That dirty lens is your subconscious belief system. No matter how perfect the image you build in your mind, it must pass through this lens first. If that lens has a program that says, "Money corrupts people," the light of your wealth visualization will hit that mud, refract, and project a reality full of legal problems, theft, or unbearable stress. In this chapter, we will turn off the projector. We will take the cloth of consciousness and clean the lens once and for all. Sign the inherited code, childhood hypnosis. To uninstall a computer virus, you must understand how it penetrated your hard drive. Humans are born as pure hardware with a blank operating system. From the womb until about age 7, your brain frequency operates almost exclusively in delta and theta waves. These frequencies are clinically the state of deep hypnosis. During those first 7 years, you had no analytical mind to filter information. No guard at the castle gate. Everything you saw and experienced went directly into the master files of the subconscious Leviathan without judgment. You were downloading the software necessary to survive in your specific tribe. If at 5 you heard your father say, "Rich people are thieves, we are poor but honest," your theta brain recorded that as an unnegotiable binary code. Wealth, Chong dishonor, poverty, Chong virtue. You didn't judge it, you absorbed it. Today you are an adult reading metaphysics, but your Leviathan still operates with that obsolete code. You are not failing because you are foolish, or because the universe hates you. You are failing because a computer cannot execute a program that contradicts its source code. Your current reality is not a reflection of your desires, but a reflection of the infectious Trojans installed in your childhood. Tos, invisible loyalty, transgenerational trauma. Here we enter the dark dynamics of transgenerational trauma and tribal loyalty. For your reptilian mind, belonging to your family is synonymous with physical survival. To belong is to live. To stand out is to die. The subconscious associates similarity with belonging. If you are different from the tribe, you are in danger. Suppose you come from a lineage of working-class people who have always struggled to make ends meet. You break the mold. You become a conscious creator. Your business starts to take off. You are about to invoice your first million. What does your subconscious do? It panics. The Leviathan screams, "Danger, this is unknown." The subconscious fears that if you become rich, you will no longer be like your father or grandfather. You will betray them. You will cease to belong. To resolve this threat, your mind executes surgical self-sabotage. You might miss a key meeting or make a disastrous investment to return to the safety of family scarcity. Threat: identifying the saboteur's energy leaks. The first step to uninstalling a virus is running an antivirus scan. You must perform a mind audit. Since you cannot see subconscious beliefs directly, you must look for them in the 3D mirror. 3D does not lie. Your physical life is the paper printout of your source code. Look for the repetitive failure patterns. Ask yourself, why every time I save money does an emergency expense appear that returns me to zero? Why do I always attract emotionally unavailable partners? Why, when my business is about to scale, do I get terrified and hide? These glass ceilings are your Leviathan's firewalls. Note the pattern and look at it fixedly. Now apply the alchemy of consciousness. Stop blaming circumstances. The car did not break by chance. Your biomagnetic field of guilt manipulated quantum probability so the mechanic would take your surplus. Recognition is the first spark of ultraviolet light that begins to burn the virus code. For the root of the poisonous tree, the 4 horsemen. 4 matrix beliefs corrupt the quantum canvas. The merit virus, I'm not enough. Symptoms include overworking and perfectionism. You feel guilty when success comes easily. The martyr virus, sacrifice is virtue. You prefer being good and poor over bad and rich because you associate joy with selfishness. The threat virus, standing out is dangerous. You keep a low profile and charge less than you are worth. The Leviathan classifies visibility as a death threat. The dark money virus, wealth stains. You spend money immediately to keep your soul pure, fearing that abundance will make you a corrupt person. The logic of viral replication. Understand that these viruses are self-replicating. They seek validation in the 3D world to stay alive. If you have a virus of betrayal, your mind will unconsciously seek out people who will betray you just to prove that the lens is correct. It is a closed feedback loop that reinforces your misery. Cleaning the lens means refusing to provide the data that feeds the virus. You must become a biological firewall. This requires you to stop talking about your problems as if they are solid facts. When you describe your scarcity to others, you are effectively copy-pasting the virus into their lenses and reinfecting your own. The virus thrives on attention and narrative. By starving it of your words, you begin the process of structural decay within the belief. A belief that is not spoken or acted upon eventually loses its electrical charge. You are not just cleaning a lens, you are rewriting the very laws of your internal universe. The lens is also smeared by the social proof virus. We tend to believe what the majority believes. If the news says there is a recession, your lens becomes grey with the expectation of loss. A conscious creator must be clinically detached from collective statistics. Your economy is a private matter between you and the field. By rejecting the common data of the masses, you protect the transparency of your glass. You must decide that you are an anomaly, an exception to the rules of the matrix. This divine arrogance is actually a technical necessity to keep the lens from becoming foggy with the doubts of the unawakened world. So the uninstallation protocol, the quantum antivirus, once the Trojan is identified, you cannot uninstall it by fighting. Fighting a fear injects it with creative attention, making it stronger. We will apply the protocol of relentless observation. Real-time detection. Feel the tug in your stomach. Your mind screams, "You are a fraud." Do not silence the voice. Observe it. Extraction of the possessive. The ego says, "I am afraid." Change the pronoun. Say, "Look how interesting. My body is experiencing a fear program." By observing the program, you prove you are not the program. You just cut its blood supply. The virus is now in quarantine. It loses its authority over your actions. Invalidation of authority. Look at that program with divine indifference. Tell the virus, "I no longer believe you. You are not the truth. You are an electromagnetic illusion. I withdraw all administrator permissions." Overwriting. Open the visualization bridge. Inject anticipated gratitude. The old code is crushed. Seventh, the cut cord technique. Transgenerational release. If your virus is invisible loyalty, observation is not enough. You need a symbolic ritual. For the deep mind, lineage is the most sacred force. You must prove to the Leviathan that success is the highest way to honor your family. Tonight, in the dark, enter the theta state. Visualize your parents and an endless line of ancestors. Visualize that you carry a heavy lead backpack on your shoulders. It contains their fears and pain. You have carried it out of blind love. Now, take it off. Pass the backpack to their hands. Look them in the eyes and say with authority, "I honor your life. But this fear of money does not belong to me. I return it to you with respect. I cut this chain for myself and future generations. Bless me when you see my life overflow with wealth. My happiness will be the trophy of your sacrifice. I do this in your honor." Visualize them smiling and giving their blessing. Visualize a golden cord being cut. Feel a 1,000-ton weight disappear from your back. This is more than a visualization. It is a legal settlement in the spiritual realm. You are declaring that the debt of the past has been paid in full by your own awareness. The ancestors do not want you to suffer. Their souls rejoice in your liberation. By letting go of the backpack, you allow them to rest and you to soar. The emotional release that follows this ritual is often physical. You may feel a warmth in your chest, or even shed tears of relief. This is the biological evidence that the transgenerational virus has been deleted from your cellular memory. Your lens is now polished to a mirror shine, ready for the new film. Theta, the sovereignty of the new script. Once the lens is clear, you must protect it with fierce sovereignty. The world will try to smudge it again with common sense and realism. Realism is often just the collective virus of the masses. Your clear lens allows you to see the 4D blueprints before they manifest. Do not let the unwashed hands of others touch your glass. This clarity is your most precious asset. A clear lens turns your heart's desire into a laser beam. In the absence of mud, the light of your intent is no longer scattered. It is concentrated. This concentration is what causes the instantaneous collapse of the wave function. You move from trying to manifest to decreeing reality. Your new script is not a hope, it is a command. When the lens is clean, the universe recognizes the signature of a master. The static of doubt is gone. You are now a transparent conduit for the infinite abundance of the source. The film of your life finally matches the HD quality of your divine origin. To maintain this sovereignty, you must become a selective gatekeeper of your environment. Every person you spend time with is a potential source of lens smudge. If their words are full of lack, their vibration will leave residue on your consciousness. Surround yourself with those whose lenses are as clear as yours. Remember that the lens is not just for projecting out, it is for perceiving in. When the lens is clean, you see opportunities where others see obstacles. You see abundance where others see scarcity. Your very perception becomes a tool of creation, as the observer effect operates through your newly purified vision. Slice the quarantine period, surviving ego extinction. You will experience a phenomenon called the extinction burst. When a lab rat stops receiving food for pressing a lever, it doesn't stop immediately. It presses the lever hysterically, trying to force the system. Your ego and 3D environment work the same way. When you uninstall poverty, you cut the ego's supply. During the first weeks, the physical world might hit you with concentrated problems related to the belief you just erased. If you deleted the scarcity virus, surprise bills might arrive. Most people get terrified here and give up, which reinstalls the old program. You must know how to read the matrix code. When the storm hits, don't be afraid. Laugh, say, bingo. This 3D tantrum is the swan song of my old self. It is the resistance of an obsolete program about to die. I won't take the bait. Maintain your quantum command with a smile. If you hold your vibratory state, the virus dies of starvation. The old reality crumbles. This survival period is the initiation of the Criado Consciente. It is the moment where you prove to the universe that you are no longer a slave to the mirror. By remaining unshakable during the extinction burst, you cement your new identity. The field accepts your authority and the material world finally yields to your will. Chapter 10, The Ripple Effect Expanded. Imagine you hold a heavy, radiant gemstone. You walk toward a dark, still pond. Your goal is to alter its surface as much as possible. If you drop the stone at your feet, you create a tiny splash. A couple of tiny ripples will vanish in a second. But if you throw it into the center, a brutal, expansive wave touches every shore. That stone is your quantum command. The pond is the quantum field. Up to now I have taught you to build the most perfect stone. You cleaned your lens, injected relief, and projected the first-person hologram. But if you use this technology only to fatten your ego, you are throwing the stone at your feet. Quantum physics will obey and give you your money, but your ripple will be tiny. If you want the universe to lift you up and move mountains for you at a speed that terrifies 3D spectators, you must learn to throw the stone into the center. You must master the ripple effect. The fastest way to get what you want is to stop asking for yourself. The fractal geometry of giving. To master the ripple effect, you must understand that the universe is not a collection of objects, but a fractal of information. In a fractal, the part contains the whole. When you bless another node in the network, you are not sending energy away from yourself. You are stimulating the very fabric of the space you inhabit. The illusion of giving implies a loss. This is the scarcity virus. In the quantum field, giving is actually activation. When you visualize the success of a peer, you are using your consciousness to collapse a high-frequency timeline. Because of the law of resonance, your field must match that frequency to even perceive it. By lifting others, you are forced to vibrate at the level of a lifter. You cannot pull someone up from the mud without standing on higher ground yourself. Therefore, every act of intercessory visualization acts as a vibratory anchor that holds you in a state of abundance, making it impossible for you to sink back into lack. The multiverse is an economy of utility. It does not reward those who want. It rewards those who provide. If you become a distribution point for wealth, wisdom, or healing, the source must keep you supplied to maintain the flow. You become a strategic asset for the expansion of consciousness, and the universe protects its assets. C. Bypassing the ego's worthiness filter. Most manifestation attempts fail because of a hidden guilt at the center of the ego. You ask for $1 million, but a part of you feels it is selfish. This creates a quantum dissonance, a static noise that cancels out your command. The ripple effect provides the ultimate psychological bypass, altruistic justification. When you visualize the $1 million not as a stack of paper for yourself, but as the foundation for a community center, or the freedom for your parents to retire, the ego's worthiness filter is deactivated. The guardian at the gate, Ch 9, allows the command to pass because it perceives the intent as noble and selfless. This is the Trojan horse of the heart. You are still getting the money, but because your why is tied to the benefit of others, your subconscious no longer fights the manifestation. You find it infinitely easier to generate anticipated gratitude, Ch 8, when you see the tears of joy in someone else's eyes than when you look at your own. Neville Goddard called this mental diets. If you hear your friends congratulating you on your great fortune, you are effectively assuming the state of being fortunate. It is a more stable way to hold a frequency, because human beings are social creatures. We find reality in the eyes of others more easily than in our own mirror. 3. The physics of the high-value node. In network theory, certain nodes have more connections and influence than others. In the quantum matrix, you want to become a high-value node. A person who only asks for themselves is a terminal node, a dead end for energy. A person who manifests for the whole is a hub. Hubs receive the most traffic and resources. When you align your personal goals with the universal expansion, you are no longer a lone soldier. You are an officer with the full backing of the Imperial Treasury. If your business succeeds, 10 people get jobs, a local charity gets funded, and your children get a better education. You have created a dependency chain. The universe wants those 10 families to be fed. It wants that charity to exist. Since your success is the catalyst for those outcomes, the universe will prioritize your manifestation over someone who only wants a bigger car to feel superior. You have turned your private dream into a systemic necessity. This is why some of the most successful people in history seem to have unnatural luck. They weren't just lucky, they were indispensable. They tied their personal ambition to a ripple that moved the entire pond. The field did not give them wealth because they were good, but because they were useful for the flow. IV Quantum Intercession, the art of the lighthouse. There is a profound difference between trying to fix people and interceding for them. To fix someone implies they are broken. If you see them as broken, you are anchoring them in a low-frequency timeline. You are participating in their misery. To intercede is to see their divine blueprint and call it forward. When you look at a friend in debt, do not see their empty wallet. If you feel pity, you are poisoning them with your observation. Instead, use your holographic projection, TH7, to see them in 4D as a person who has more than enough. See them buying you dinner. Feel the joy of their relief. This is the lighthouse method. You are not forcing them to change. You are merely lighting up a coordinate in the space of variations that they might have forgotten. You are providing the vibratory match they need to jump timelines. If they choose to take it, they will. If not, your own field remains clean because you saw only perfection and abundance. This practice builds your quantum authority. The more you successfully see abundance for others, the more your subconscious accepts that abundance is the only reality. You are training your Leviathan, Ch 4, to recognize wealth everywhere. Eventually, your world becomes a reflection of this high-frequency habit. V. The business of blessing, high-frequency capitalism. Money is nothing more than stored energy, a record of value exchanged. If you are struggling for money, you have a value block. You are trying to take from the pond without creating a ripple. High-frequency capitalism is the art of creating such massive ripples that the water has no choice but to return to you in waves. Ask yourself, how can I solve a problem for 1 million people? When you move your focus from getting to solving, you shift from a state of lack to a state of mastery. The universe loves solvers. Every time you ease the burden of another, you generate a credit in the quantum ledger that must be balanced. This isn't about charity in the traditional sense, it's about alignment. A business that genuinely improves lives is a high-vibration entity. It attracts the best employees, the most loyal customers, and the most fortuitous timing. Your manifestation becomes a mission, and missions have a gravitational pull that individuals do not. The ripple effect in business means that every dollar you earn is a testament to a problem solved or a joy created. In this state, you never feel guilty for being rich. You feel responsible for being rich, and that responsibility is a fuel far more powerful than the selfish desire for luxury. It keeps you in the Sabbath, Q 8, of knowing. Vi, the invisible currency, the hidden blessing. The most powerful ripples are often the ones no one sees. Most people only give when there is an audience or a tax deduction. This is 3D transaction, not quantum creation. The hidden blessing is the practice of blessing people who will never know it was you. It is the purest form of radiant intent. When you bless a stranger in traffic, or a waiter who is having a bad day, you are performing an act of pure cause. Because there is no 3D reward, no thank you, no social credit, the entire reward must be settled by the quantum field. You are building an invisible account of high-frequency energy. This practice destroys the ego's need for validation. It trains you to be the sole author of your reality. You become a person who generates light regardless of the environment. This makes you vibrationally independent. When you don't need the world to be good for you to feel good, you have mastered the matrix. The hidden blessing creates a buffer zone of high frequency around you. Even when the 3D world is in chaos, your private ripples keep your immediate vicinity calm. You become the eye of the hurricane, Ch 10. People will notice that good things just happen when you are around. You have become a walking portal of grace. Lifeward, the law of circularity, the boomerang effect. The universe is curved. Every thought, every emotion, and every intent eventually circles back to its source. This is not a threat. It is a mechanical law. If you project fear for others, you are seeding your own path with thorns. If you project success for others, you are paving your own road with gold. The ripple effect ensures that you never walk alone. By contributing to the thriving of the whole, you ensure that the whole contributes to your thriving. It is a symbiotic manifestation. You stop being a competitor in a world of limited resources and start being a collaborator in a world of infinite potential. The final stage of the ripple effect is the dissolution of the I. When you truly realize that your neighbor's joy is your joy, and their wealth is a sign that wealth is available to you, the rubber band of ego resistance snaps. You become a conduit, and a conduit for the infinite can never ever be empty. Faith in the sovereignty of the awakened node. As awakened node does not wait for the pond to move. It initiates the wave. You are no longer reacting to the news, the economy, or your bank balance. You are the initial cause. By choosing to bless, to create, and to lift, you are overriding the local entropy of the 3D world. This is the ultimate quantum hack. While everyone else is fighting over the drops at the shore, you have walked to the center and moved the entire lake. You are at home in the silence of the 0 point, Ach 10, yet your influence is felt at the furthest reaches of your reality. You have completed the journey. You started as a biological accident, Ch 1, and ended as a universal catalyst. The world is no longer something that happens to you, it is something that happens through you. You are the architect, the builder, and the gift itself. The ripple effect is your signature on the fabric of eternity. Se definiría el colapso de la resistencia colectiva. Cuando lanzas tu piedra al centro del estanque con una intención que beneficia al conjunto, ocurre un fenómeno de blindaje cuántico. El ego individual es frágil y fácil de desestabilizar por las críticas o las dudas de los demás. Sin embargo, cuando tu meta es ecológica y expansiva, tu fe se vuelve inquebrantable. Es mucho más fácil rendirse cuando solo peleas por tu propia comodidad. Pero cuando sientes que el bienestar de tu familia, el empleo de tus colaboradores o la inspiración de tu comunidad dependen de tu éxito, desarrollas una fuerza sobrehumana. La responsabilidad se transforma en combustible, eliminando la pereza y el miedo. El universo no solo te da los recursos, sino que te otorga la autoridad necesaria para gestionarlos. Te conviertes en un administrador de la abundancia. Al dejar de ser el dueño egoísta y pasar a ser el canal generoso, el flujo de energía no tiene motivos para detenerse. La escasez ya no tiene espacio donde anclar su virus. Caos, el legado de la onda permanente. La verdadera maestría del efecto onda es comprender que la onda no termina cuando alcanzas tu meta física. Una manifestación realizada desde el servicio deja una huella vibratoria en el campo cuántico que facilita el camino para otros. Tu éxito se convierte en un punto de acceso de alta frecuencia para la humanidad. Al haber demostrado que es posible saltar de línea temporal y prosperar bendiciendo al entorno, has debilitado la matrix de la escasez para todos. Eres un rompehielos cuántico. Cada vez que alguien vea tu vida y se sienta inspirado, tu propia onda se expandirá de nuevo, regresando a ti en formas de salud y paz infinita. Has completado el ciclo. Has pasado de ser una partícula aislada a ser la totalidad del estanque. Ya no buscas el éxito. Tú eres el éxito fluyendo hacia cada rincón de la existencia. Camina con esa certeza. El mundo es tu lienzo, y tu pincel está cargado con la luz de 1000 soles. Estás en casa. Conclusion: the divine spark. The final awakening. You are the universe itself experiencing its own creation. You have reached the end of this monumental journey. Together we have descended into the darkest depths of the subconscious Leviathan and scaled to the control room of the block universe. We have dismantled, piece by piece, the most elaborate lie in human history, the illusion of your own smallness. Throughout these chapters, you have learned that chance is a myth for the blind. You have verified with the implacable coldness of mathematics that your birth is an impossible equation, a biological miracle that required the perfect movement of galaxies and the victory in a race of 200 million competitors. You have learned to clean the lens of your mind from the viruses of unworthiness, discovered how to project holograms of future reality on the brain's quantum canvas, and ignited the alchemical furnace of your heart with anticipated gratitude. You have understood the physics of karma and sworn to respect the law of balance. You have the keys, you have the map, you have the engine. But before you close this book and return to the noisy theater of the third dimension, I must give you the final revelation. The secret that ancient mystery schools kept under penalty of death, and that today quantum physics screams from cutting-edge laboratories. Throughout your life, when you looked at the starry sky, you felt small. You looked at the black immensity of the cosmos, and an ego-terrified voice whispered, "I am just an irrelevant speck of dust on a rock in the middle of a hostile universe. The universe is infinite and I am nothing. That is the last great illusion we must kill." That voice lies. The quantum and mystical truth that shakes the foundations of the matrix is that you were not thrown into the universe. You were created by the universe, from the universe, so that the universe could have a human experience. Think about it with scientific rigor. Every carbon atom in your cells, every iron atom in your blood, every calcium atom in your bones was not created on Earth. It was forged in the burning core of supermassive stars that died billions of years ago. Those stars exploded in supernovas simply so that eons later, that stardust could condense and give you a physical body. You are not an inhabitant alien to creation. You are stellar matter that has reached the capacity to think, to love, to suffer, and to visualize. As Carl Sagan said, "We are a way for the cosmos to know itself." The original source, infinite intelligence, is pure energy. It is an abstract, infinite, and immaterial mind. But infinite energy cannot smell the aroma of coffee in the morning. It cannot feel the touch of wet sand under its feet. It cannot experience the racing heartbeat of a first kiss. To experience the density, texture, and beauty of the material world, the infinite universe needed a vehicle. It needed a lens. That vehicle is you. That lens is your eyes. You are the divine spark. You are the entire ocean that for a brief and miraculous blink in eternity has decided to experience what it feels like to have the shape of a wave called by your name. When you suffer, it is the universe experiencing contraction. When you free yourself, it is the universe expanding. When you use your subconscious to create a life of abundance, you are not being a selfish human. You are the divinity itself, remembering how to operate its own three-dimensional simulator. This is the final eradication of fear. If you understand that you are the universe experiencing itself, what could you fear? Economic failure. Money is just an abstraction that you yourself collapse. Rejection. Other people are simply other fractals of your same divine consciousness, playing different roles. Physical death. Death is only the moment in which the wave of water merges back into the ocean, without ever having lost a single drop of its true essence. By awakening to this reality, imposter syndrome completely disintegrates. You cannot be an imposter when you possess the source code of the galaxy. You no longer walk the street asking for permission to exist. You no longer apologize for desiring greatness. You no longer bow your head before control systems that try to keep humanity scared and docile. An amnesiac god can be enslaved, but a god who has remembered who they are is absolutely ungovernable. From this moment, your life is no longer a desperate struggle for survival. Your life becomes a conscious work of art. The architect's oath we took at the beginning of this book has been sealed in your DNA. You know your success is inevitable because you are aligned with the law of balance. You have become the lighthouse in the fog. The outside world will still try to deceive you. There will be days when the mirror shows you shadows, but you already have the antidote. When the storm roars, you will close your eyes, breathe into your heart, invoke gratitude, and remember your true nature. You will smile in the middle of chaos, knowing that the movie screen cannot hurt the projector. This is your final awakening. The book closes here, but your true story, the story of the sovereign creator, barely begins on the first page. Go out there. Tread firmly on the earth you helped forge from the stars. Look at the matrix with the compassion and authority of one who has decoded it. Do not wait for the world to give you permission to be brilliant. The physical world is anxiously waiting for you to give it the order to reorganize at your feet. Breathe deeply. Feel the divine spark burning in your chest. Rise, take your place. Claim your empire. The conscious miracle is you, and your moment is now.